Evening, everybody. Jody Brozick of Winter Warriors Live here with head coach Dan Aaker as we prep for the matchup tonight against the Cheyenne Eagle Butte Braves. Before we go into that, Dan, the season's off and running in a 46-0 victory over the MOBRIDGE Tigers. Kind of curious, what are your takeaways from week 0?
I thought we played pretty well. Things I liked about it, I thought we played hard. We played physical. We knew the line of scrimmage was going to be an area that we expected to dominate, and I thought we definitely controlled that area. You always look at things you can get better, and that's what's great about week 1 is you're going to find things that you can get better at. You hope that, because certainly don't be playing the best football in week 1. And I think when you add to the fact that what we returned and the team we have, our expectations are pretty high of ourselves. So the things that probably were negatives, 3-1 turnovers, unacceptable. I don't remember the last time that we've been negative turnovers, and to start the game like that or the year like that with giving it up 3 times and only taking one away, that's got to be better. We definitely want that reversed. I think we were really frustrated at the early screen pass that they ran because we worked it a ton all week, and it was 3rd down situation, or guys should know that screen's coming. We're screaming screen's coming, and we get caught on it. 4 of our guys go under blocks, and they get a 25-yard gain. And was there any damage done? No. But when our expectations are high as they are, and expecting our veterans in particular to not run inside blocks and be in the right position and expect plays like that to happen, those are things that we reminded of them on Monday. You can't. Sometimes you're going to be a better player, maybe even a better team, but you can't take the easy route out just because you can get away with it at times. That's going to cost you down the road. And when we talked about them on Monday, was the biggest thing about us, is we've been saying all year, we're worried about the Winter Warriors. What can the Winter Warriors be? How good can we be? And that was probably the biggest thing that stuck out. And not that, as a coach, sometimes you get stuck on the negative things and things that you get better. We played pretty well. We had consistent drives. We had some big plays. I thought we wore them out mid-second quarter already, and that has to do with some of the rotation up front we had. And we'll definitely take a 46-0 win. I was happy with our second group, showing some pride and keeping out of the end zone. Not really happy that they allowed them to get in that situation, but showing some pride and keeping on the end zone. So definitely good things to build on. Happy with 46-0. Satisfied? Absolutely not. We know we can get better.
Big question coming out of week 0, injury update coming out of the Tigers team.
Nothing major. We've been dealing with a few muscle pulls early in the year. I think those guys are actually probably better now than they were last week. No significant injuries coming out of there, which is always good, and you hope that continue that from week by week. But so far so good.
Going off cue here a little bit. Coming into week 1, you talked about the returning guys from last year, and yet this year you have 2 new players, possibly 3 at times, in new positions. Talk about your...
Yeah, you don't typically going to see an all-state guard get moved to fullback and all-state DN get moved to linebacker, but our thought process is we need our best athletes on the field no matter where they're at, and us being line heavy and talented line heavy, we need to get those guys in there. I think they've adapted well. Jaden played fullback as a freshman. He was moved to guard almost as necessity as a sophomore. An all-state player, but he's just a good football player wherever you put him. Isaac's coming along well. Still needs to fill a little bit harder, but good athlete out there and smart, savvy football player gets him in position. And the more reps he gets, I think you'll see him come along at linebacker. And we're not opposed to dropping him down to DN at any time when we need a pass rush, because that's what probably his best attribute. And some newer guys on there, Ty Bolton, and I think he was a little frustrated after the game. But the first game, it's different speed, it's different level, and with reps, he's going to be fine. And so the mixes and the matches that we did, I think I was happy with, and that's just going to keep coming along as the season goes on.
Well, let's take a look at your upcoming opponent. We talked about Cheyenne Eagle Butte, the Winter Warriors on the road for the 2nd consecutive week. Cheyenne Eagle Butte's coming off a decisive victory for their program over Bennett County, 31-14. Talk to everybody about the expected strengths offensively of Cheyenne Eagle Butte and key matchups that they'll want to watch?
First of all, I'll start with it. I was very impressed with how organized and how they looked against Bennett County. I remember Bennett County was a quarterfinals last year that we saw here, and I know they lost some, but I think that was a surprise score in my mind when I saw it. So I think Cheyenne will be obviously confident and had a really nice start to their season and a big win for them. And they're big up front. They'll match us size-wise. They're maybe even a little bigger. But we're going to have to utilize, some of our quickness and some of our technique in order to control that. And a lot of what they do throwing-wise is going to go through Traversy. And he's a good-looking athlete. He's been a 3-year starter of the basketball team, probably a 4-year starter of the football team. 6'4", 220. They'll throw it up for him. He just goes and gets it. So our secondary has got to be in good position, and we got to fight for balls. So I think there's opportunities. We talked about turnovers earlier. I think in this game there's opportunities for us to get some more turnovers. And we really stressed out with our secondary this week because we did get one interception, but it wasn't from our secondary, and we need to get some turnovers. But part of that's going to start with pressure. I didn't think we pressured MOBRIDGE very well. We were so worried about screens, especially after they hit us on one, and we were so worried about the quarterback getting loose. This week we really kind of focused on creating a pocket but finishing it too, and getting to the quarterback. So they'll try, to run the ball first, but as always, we hope to stop the run and force them in those situations where they have to throw, and then maybe we can pin our ears back and maybe get some blitzes and balls be up for grabs and hope we get them. But we got to protect, know where Traversy's at all the time, and as always, limit big plays and don't let anything over the top of us.
Eagle Butte, the team that scored the most points on the Winter Warriors championship team last year.
Yeah. And I think a point to bring up there, Jody, is we made this a big point this week too, and our guys learned a big lesson last year. When we put our scouting reports together and we work that stuff all week, that doesn't just include the 11 starting defensive guys. Now, that includes anybody that's going to possibly get in the game, which could be anybody. And that was a breakdown on a play that we'd worked all week, and our second group wasn't ready for it, which that's unacceptable too. And I think they learned that lesson on that. And we talked about that on Monday. Hey, everybody that's working here in the secondary or wherever, you need to know this is what they like to do, and we need to be ready for it no matter what situation, what time of the game. And so in a game like this, there's always coachable moments, and that was a big one for us last year.
Defensively for the Braves, what do you expect out of them, and any, matchups to watch?
Well, and I think the line of scrimmage will be the telltale. Like I said, they'll match the size, and we're going to have to get off quick and low and get movement there. I don't know what front we'll see. Last year they ran a 5 and a 6. They ran a 5 pretty much significantly against Bennett County, but Bennett County only usually had one tight end in there, and we're going to run double almost all the time. So I expect either a 5 or 6, and probably cram the box a little bit. So when teams do that, the big key is point of attack. If we can get movement at point of attack and let our skill guys get in open space, then we're going to move the ball fine. And so once again, line of scrimmage is what we'll talk about game in, game out every year, but this year even more significant because I think we're going to have the edge no matter who we play, and we have to win that battle to be successful.
Strange. You're talking about an offensive line that you say for winter probably averages 260 across the front. They're going to face a squad that may be bigger than them.
At least is as big or bigger, correct. Yeah, they've got some big guys, and so it'll be an interesting matchup there.
Last question, then we'll jump out of here, Dan. Back-to-back long road trips, team preparing well, everything going as normal, even with back-to-back.
We traveled well last week. I don't expect that to be anything different. And it's nothing. I guess our location is our guys are so used to getting on a bus or van or whatever and going 3 hours. That's not much for them, just because we're centrally located and we go east and west. So we never think about that. In fact, as a coach, I kind of like it. I've got them all in one place. I know what they're doing. I know where they're at. We're together. We got our white uniforms in fall of 2008. We've never been beating them. So, we've had good road success. And I think part of it is we're not scared to get on a road trip to play anybody, and it doesn't matter the distance. And that's what we're looking at tonight, too.
Very good. Dan, thank you for your time. This is Jody Brozick with WinterWarriorsLive.com with your pregame interview with Coach Akers as we prepare for the Cheyenne Eagle Butte Braves.